All right, it's Bruins Benders post-game live after another matinee at TD Garden, and it's a 4-3 loss to the Florida Panthers on Monday afternoon. It's Maddie and Smitty. It's presented by InsideTheRink.com, your one-stop shop for all your NHL news, insight, and analysis. We are on Twitter as well at Bruins Benders doing the game updates. This was a very frustrating one for me just because, obviously, you really want to beat a shorthanded Panthers team today, especially after what happened in the season opener. The Bruins come out, try to make it a fist fight again, get a little further along in the process, but then just, some mistakes that continue to hamper the team against Florida. And Florida, opportunistic, Stanley Cup pedigree, buries those chances, and you end up with another loss.
Yeah, the Bruins didn't play well again. And it doesn't matter who's in the lineup for Florida. They could play their entire AHL team against this Bruins team and beat them handily because it's in the Bruins' heads now. It's in their heads. It's looking at the fucking Panther on the front. It's time to hunt. It's Paul Maurice, whatever it is. They don't make adjustments. They don't do anything to counteract Florida's forecheck or the 1-3-1. No speed through the neutral zone. They're dumping it in and then coasting. I watched Charlie Coyle today, late in the third period. They dumped the puck in and he's coasting in after it. Like, why are you going coasting to the boards? You're losing and you need to go and get the goddamn puck. Like, I just watching this team play against Florida, unless somehow their makeup changes between now and January when they face the Panthers again, it's going to be the same old story. Write it out, put it down, mark it down now. Bet the house on Florida in the next game because the Bruins can't beat this team. Can't.
Yeah, right now, it's the top six that's really hurting Boston throughout the course of games. I know Pastrnak had 3 goals in 3 games, but they were kind of opportunistic. One was, a garbage goal at the end of the Florida game, and then he had the overtime goal and a nice play by 2 of your young guys, who even talked about, wow, the speed of these guys. Charlie Coyle, that second line is atrocious. It's shit on a stick right now. I mean, Marchand's playing a little bit better here and there, and he's doing okay, but Geeky should see this ninth floor. 9.5 minutes today. That's a second-line player playing 9.5 minutes, -2, did nothing out there again. And Charlie Coyle has been a shell of himself the whole season. And I don't take your analytics and shove them up your anus like that. He hasn't been the player he was last year, and they need him to be. He's the second-line center. So again, this team is not going anywhere fast with Charlie Coyle as your second-line center. We've been saying this for 4 years. We've been saying this since we started the podcast. He's a third-line center. Put him down there, and you got to figure out your second-line center. I don't know what you do if you put Zacha back there or if you put Pastrnak there for a while and see how it goes. But right now, I mean, that second line is destroying you.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think the first line hasn't been great either, really.
No.
Outside of the fourth line, the team has been terrible. It really has. Mm-hmm. And I understand that they've won some games but they're, Montreal's awful too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they, you win in overtime against a Kings team that had to, is on a cross-country trip, playing a matinee where it's 8:00 in the morning their time or whatever, 10:00 in the morning their time. So, the Bruins right now they have a lot of issues that they need to figure out, a lot of problems to fix. And Zadorov has not been good at all. The puck in his own zone, he's been bad. And, maybe that's a learning curve thing with adjusting to the new system and kind of figuring it out. But he's mishandling the puck. Every time he touches it, it's an issue. So, you go and big and physical back there, and we've been clamoring for it. We've been saying, you need that. You need some nastiness back there, and you do, but you also need to be able to get the puck out of your own zone. And right now they can't do that, especially not against this Florida team.
No, they can't get it out on a clean basis consistently. A lot of broken plays that lead to their only chances, really, when they got to be on the goal, behind the goal line. like there was about 6 minutes left. They had that 2-minute shift where they were under the goal line and they were creating havoc and they were possessing the puck and they were all over the Panthers and couldn't score. Need more of that if you're going to be big and heavy. Get it down low. Even on the power play, get the puck in deep and just go try to win the thing. Like in right now, there's just not enough playmaking from your top players. There's just not enough, good offense from your top players. And the Panthers are without Makachuk and Sasha Barkov, like two of the best players in the league. And still today, Lundell and Bennett, still a Bruins killer, 7 shots, whatever. Reinhardt, it's just, and it's opportunistic. It's like when they get a chance, when you turn it over, Hampus Lindholm turns it over by the crease, bang it in, another rebound later on where it looks like they might have it okay, and Swayman makes a save, but then bang in the rebound. Terrible defensive change leads to a goal. It's just that type of thing. And those are the 3 or 4 opportunities. They bury them all and you lose 4-3.
Yeah, I
question the coaching. And I'm going to continue to question the coaching on this team because they went out and got guys. Like, to me, the general manager, the front office is going to be like, look, we went out and got guys. We went out and tried to take this, the weaknesses of the team and try to patch that up. And we went out and got guys and spent money. Like, now it's on the coaching staff to figure it out. Take what you have and figure it out. And they still haven't figured out how to play this team, how to get clean entries out of the zone, how to get clean entries into the zone. It's just, they still haven't been able to figure out how to beat the Panthers. And the Panthers have, whether it's a curse or whether it's, momentum against them, tremendous confidence against them. Like, there's this constant smirk like that they have on their face whenever there's a scrum, whenever there's an opportunity. Like, there's this constant like swagger about them against the Bruins because they know they're going to win when the chips are, when push comes to shove. They're going to win the game.
The Bruins have not won any battles against this team. It seems like every loose puck is Florida's. Every battle in the corner is Florida's. You got Bruins players, diving out of the way because they're worried about getting hit. Pastrnak did it at least a couple times. Did it once at center ice late in the game. It was a 50-50 puck. He's going in there with Bennett, and he just spins out of the way and basically gave Bennett the puck. And you can't have that from your superstar guys. I mean, fine, it's October, and this game isn't a necessity, but that sends a message to the rest of your team, and to the Panthers team. We're in their heads. We're in Pastrnak's head 100%. Taking liberties with him, running him. Why is Pavel Zacha the one that stands up to AJ Greer for the hit on Pastrnak, and then why does no one else answer after that?
Nobody.
Why does no one else go after AJ Greer after that, or target one of the Florida guys?
Mm-hmm.
Target Sam Reinhart.
Right.
But there's no pushback from this team. Why do you have Nikita Zadorov out there as this big guy if he's not going to do anything to anyone?
Right.
He was terrible today.
Yeah.
So what's the point of having the all the size if you're not going to use it? And especially against the team that you supposedly got the size to face. This is the reason you got it, is to face these guys, and you've looked smaller than you ever have against this team. And it's not size; it's compete and got.
It is. Those are the things. It's not size. You could be 7'5". Yeah, you could be 7'5". That doesn't matter. It's the toughness, it's the swagger, it's the compete level. And Florida beats them in those avenues every time. And I just talked Hampus Lindholm up last post game, whatever, and he laid an egg today.
Sure.
Four giveaways, -2, pretty much indirectly caused an own goal, and it was bad again. It was bad again. And this is a game where you thought they'd come out with some real conviction. They still didn't get a shot on net for the first 4 minutes of the game again. Like the first few shifts, they still didn't really do much. You know, it was kind of a sleepwalking to begin the game. Why don't they come out blaring in the first? I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. Well, part of it is because their top blue line's blow right now, so they can't get any momentum at all. Their best line is your fourth line, and that's a recipe for disaster. Like, all credit to them for playing really well, but they can't be your best line night in and night out, playing 10 or 12 minutes.
No, and I tell you what, the rest of the Bruins team could learn a lesson from the fourth line and how they play. There's way too much of just crossing the offensive blue line and then working laterally with no speed. Like, you're just asking to turn the fucking puck over there. Sorry, John. You're just asking to turn the puck over. You crossing just inside your offensive line. You dicking around with it. Like, stop fucking doing that. Sorry, John. And just move on. Get it down deep. Get after it. Get in on the forecheck. And there's too much coasting around from the top six guys. Like, that's why the fourth line guys are making things happen. It's because they're getting in aggressively, skating, and getting there. Not coasting, not gliding, fast.
Right.
And
you can see it. That you can see it too. Is that
you can 100% see it. It's like one team is on 72 RPMs and the other team's on 33. Like, the fourth line's moving twice as fast than the rest of your guys on your team. It's night and day when one of those guys jumps out and you see him darting through the zone and you're like, oh, that's a fourth line guy, because the rest of the guys are just fucking gliding around like they're out playing men's league. It's the Boston Bruins against the fucking defending Stanley Cup champions, and you're out there like it's a Saturday at fucking Hockey Town in Saugus. Let's go out to the Kowloon after and get fucking Mai Tais. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And tell you again, I point to the coaching. Why can't they get this figured out? And I'm telling you right now, this matchup right here, Florida Boston, is going to be the downfall of Jim Montgomery. He's not going to be able to figure this out, and they're going to still win a bunch of games and be a pretty good team and second in the division, whatever it is. But he's not going to be able to figure this out, and it's going to be they're going to have to find another guy, because I don't give a shit how many games you won in the regular season. Like, this, it has nothing to do with, the playoffs are a different animal. And there's been precedent set where coaches have been fired during cup runs. Like this, it doesn't matter if he's 78 games over 500 or whatever. It's going to be his downfall that he can't figure this thing out. And every time you look at him on the bench, when they show him on the bench, he looks more and more like deer in the headlights. Like, what do I do? Like, more and more, he has this look on his face. Like, what the hell? Why can't we do this? Why can't we get this right? This was set up for a real convincing, it doesn't have to be a big blowout win, but a convincing type of win against a shorthanded Florida team, because you had all the incentive in the world. You had all the motivation in the world, and it was laid up for you at home to do this. They're banged up. They've lost a couple. Like, it was set up for you, and you still can't beat them in that scenario. So I don't know what to do.
Like I said, it's an issue, and they're, until they make some adjustments or get some new guys into the lineup, they're going to struggle with this team. And, I think, they were talking a little bit during the broadcast on Nesson about it being a 1-3-1. You have to be patient against that type of team. You have to be patient. And, I don't think the reverse hard up the wall, same side hard up the wall thing works against a 1-3-1, because there's a guy in the middle taking the middle away, and then there's three guys across the center ice line. So if you go hard up the wall, they're there to take the puck away from you. So you have to be more patient. It's more Claude-like. That's why they beat Tampa Bay back in the day in that great 7-game series. They were patient. You have to take what the defense gives you. You have to get the puck into the middle and then get it wide. And, that's what it took to win game 7. With a great play through center ice and then, Krejci to Horton. But, they need to do some things differently, or they're going to keep getting, the same result over and over again.
Yeah, they do. And I don't know where you turn from here. And, and Christie's right in the comments. Like, the Bruins, that fourth line plays hockey. You know what I mean? They get in there, they get to the dirty areas, they get aggressive, they try to win pucks. They don't have agendas. They just go and play the way to their strengths, and they produce. In the top two lines, especially Pastrnak and Marchand, are just trying to gain the line, like you said, and play laterally and trying to make a creative play instead of dumping it in or, a little flip in or something and trying to play from below the net back. Instead, they're trying to make plays at the blue line, and Florida has them heavily scouted. Like, that plays right into how Florida plays defensively. And then the transition, you're flat-footed, transition back the other way. It's bound to be an opportunity on the other end for Florida. So
Florida doesn't. Boston doesn't. Creative players don't like to give the puck up, which is part of the problem. There were opportunities where those guys could have gone low to high with the puck, and then done like a give and go or made a move to get back to the front of the net. You can't beat this Florida team with, pretty plays in the offensive. It's just, that's not what you can do. You have one guy that's maybe a game breaker, and they are just shadowing Pastrnak. They're not giving him any room at all. Mm-hmm. So he needs to give the puck back up and then get to the front of the net or find a soft spot in the area where he can, get a shot off. Like he's not even creating any chances. He's not creating any scoring chances. He had 2 shots, I think, in the game. Maybe a third there late on the power play or with the empty net, but not really much generating much offensively. And they're not willing to give it up, give the puck up. And until they are, I feel like it's going to be a similar type situation. They're going to turn it over, and Florida's going to have odd man chances the other way. Until those guys decide, they need to play a certain way. And the fourth line's giving them the blueprint. It's there for you. Mm-hmm. Watch the film of how those guys attacked the Florida D and the team. They generated chances. It's getting it down low and then just getting pucks and bodies to the front of the net. I mean, it's simple. We've been saying that forever. Like shots from the point, pucks and bodies to the net. And Bobrovsky gives up rebounds. So if you can get in there, and time it correctly, there'll be some opportunities for you. But until they decide they want to play a little bit differently, it's going to be the same results over and over again.
Yeah. And the Bruins have taken, they're getting frustrated. They tried to take the approach of let's fight, let's be the aggressor physically and so forth. And they take a couple penalties, and Florida scores on a power play, and they're caught sort of in the cement mixer right now. They don't know really how to beat the team, and they've tried different ways. And really, what it comes down to is their top players have to be better, or as good or better than the Florida top players, and that's never happened. So if Pastrnak and Marchand and Elias Lindholm, and those guys aren't the best players on the ice, the Bruins cannot beat this team. They have high-end players in Tkachuk and Barkov and Bennett and Reinhart, and if those guys are the best players on the ice, they're not going to win. Bruins aren't going to beat them. So that's really what it boils down to. Is that second line, which is just not good. And Geeky's got to be off the line. I don't know what you do with it. I don't know if you put Potter over there and then put someone else third line center or whatever it is. But if Geeky's in the lineup in Colorado on Wednesday, then I really have to question what the hell we're doing.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, they need more from a bunch of guys. So it's not just him. Not just him. I mean, Coyle's been terrible, but like we've talked about before, you're not going to bench, one of your starting centers. So he's probably safe, but he needs to be a lot better. I mean, Zacha needs to be a lot better. Marchand needs to be a lot better. McAvoy, I didn't think was very good today. So you need more from your top guys. Simple as that. I mean, like you said earlier, the fourth line's been your best line by far. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, you're not going to win many games.
No.
Mark Kastelik's career high in points in a season is 11.
11, yeah.
And he has 5 points in 4 games now. You can't.
That's not going to last.
You can't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't ride him to a division title.
right? No,
Your best players have to be your best players, not Mark Kastelik.
And here's what else you can't do: you can't push him up the lineup and break up the fourth line you have right now. Like
Right.
it's not the fourth line can't solve all the problems.
No.
So if you bring Kastelik up to like the third line or even the second line and say, oh, this guy's producing, well, now you're putting him out of position. Now you're putting him, with higher expectations, which exposes him, and now you're breaking up your best line. So you do not touch that line. I swear to God, if that line is changed in any fashion, if Riley Tufte's in there Friday or whatever, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind.
I'm with you.
That's going to take that away too. And now you've got nothing. Now you're scrambling. Now
you've got nothing.
Shit against the wall.
Now you've got no lines that are going well.
Right.
It's not that line's fault. Leave them alone. It's not their fault. But the other 9 forwards and defensemen need to figure it out, and the coaching staff need to figure it out. Not Mark Kastelik, John Beecher, and Cole Koepke. They figured it out. They know what to do. They know their role, and they're doing it well. Leave them the fuck alone. Sorry, John. Those guys are fine. The other guys need to look themselves in the mirror and figure out something else. But don't touch that line. They've been too good. They've been, your all-stars, to this point in the season. So leave them alone and find some other answers somewhere else. Whether it's signing Tyler Johnson, maybe he gets in now. You have a few days here before the West Coast. I would do it. I would sign Tyler Johnson to his deal. I would send Geeky to the 9th floor and put him on, one of those top 9 into the top 9 and give him a chance. He can score, and he's a veteran, and he knows how to play without the puck, which I think is part of the problem with some of these guys. It's like they don't know where to go. They don't know how to find the soft spots in areas where, you can get a chip and you might have a little bit more time and space to make a play. So I'm all for it. They need some kind of a shakeup, and maybe that will, wake some people up over there, but they need to try something.
All right, let's get into the box score a little bit. First off, Beecher and Kastelik, both a +3 and a 4-3 loss, which is pretty impressive. Beecher with a goal and assist, Kastelik with 3 assists. They combined for 8 hits, so they are not the issue. How about this? Elias Lindholm, they have for 8 hits. Did you even notice him on the ice? Like, there were times where I thought to myself, have they even called his name? Like,
yeah, I mean, he didn't have the puck much. I mean, I did see him, banging around a little bit in the corners. 8 hits, though, probably a little much.
Right.
But I mean, that fourth line. I mean, even Koepke, who had just 1 lone assist, was +2. He had 4 hits.
Yeah.
And so they're not the issue. It's the rest of the team that is the issue, and we need to figure something out and figure it out quickly, because those top 9 forwards really haven't gotten going yet. And maybe it's as simple as getting away from the Florida Panthers and not having to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I think it's as simple as there's some guys there who aren't that good where they are, like Geeky.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I think that's people are out of position. Zacha is really a second line player, in my opinion. I don't think he's really a top line player, but I mean, you're kind of thin in the forward group, which we knew. I thought their best defenseman today was Andrew Peeke. I thought Peeke actually played well. I saw him being physical, making some good decisions. He was a +2.
Sure.
He had 2 shots on net. He had 2 hits. He had a block shot. Like, he played almost 19 minutes too. Played more than Zadorov. Played 3 more minutes than Lowry. Played almost 4 more minutes than Carlo. Played less than 15 minutes. You don't see that very often. 20 shifts. So I thought Peeke was pretty good. But again, if Peeke is your best defenseman, and if Kastelik and Beecher are your best forwards, then you're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. And that's what the case has been so far early in the season for this team. They're guys that you're counting on to be the guys, haven't been the guys yet. Simple as that.
Yeah, it just haven't been the guys. And, again, Sam Bennett, and Reinhart, playing well. Lundell played much better than he has been playing. And then once Tkachuk and Barkov come back, they'll be pretty good. All right, let's get some fan comments. Christy says, do you think the Bruins have an answer for Gustav Forsling and Anton Lundell, or Forsling and Barkov when he's back from injury? I don't think they have an answer for Luosterainen. I don't think they have an answer for anybody on the team. I don't.
They don't have any answers. No answers.
I think the fourth line is better than their fourth line, but the top three lines are far and away better than the Bruins' top three lines right now.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's where it is. And in their defense, I'd rather have their defense than the Bruins' defense. So as hard as that is to say, right now, I'd rather have the way they play than the Bruins' defense. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't right now. I mean, on paper, if you gave me the list and said, no, this defensive group's better than that defensive group. I mean, Forsling's really good, and but they lost Montour, they lost Ekman Larsson. I mean, the Bruins should have a better defensive group than Florida, and they don't right now as far as how they're playing. So, I mean, that's it. Hugh Frazier says what you're saying about moving Kastelik is what they're doing with Geeky, and that's absolutely correct. Hugh, is that they're playing as a third to fourth line player on the second line because Marchand partly wanted a veteran there and was kind of saying indirectly publicly about rookies that they have to do this and that and the other thing, and saying that they have to be responsible and they have to play two-way and defensively and that thing. I really think he didn't want someone like Lysell, who hasn't been great in Providence, and I get that, or Merkulov or whoever, even Patra to a point probably. I think he wanted a more veteran player. Now you can argue how much of a veteran Morgan Geeky is. He hasn't done much of anything in the league, but maybe he thinks he's more responsible. I don't know, but that line does not work in any fashion, and largely because Charlie Coyle hasn't been good, and they need a second line center. Think about who the second line center was in the Bruins when they won the Stanley Cup. It was either, you can make the argument, it was either Bergeron or Krejci.
Sure.
Like, not Charlie Coyle.
No.
Like no offense to CC. Good, solid NHL player for a while. Local guy. Like, we like him.
Love him.
But he's not a Stanley Cup winning second line center, dude.
No. Would you put Marchand back with Lindholm and Pastrnak and put either Zacha at second line center or Patra at second line center and
I'd put Zacha and Patra on the second line with whoever the fuck. I don't know. Who's another forward? I don't know. Freddie, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you don't have a second line winger or center, but you don't have that second line guy. Nathan Horton was on the second line.
I mean, would you go like Zacha, Patra, Tyler Johnson second line?
Yeah, I do that. I at least try it.
Or Frederick.
I'd have to make a real decision on Johnson.
Put Frederick there and then put Johnson.
Yeah, the problem with Freddie
Coyle and somebody else on the third line.
Again, Freddie is a third line player. Like,
I know. We know this.
Right now, for what they have, I probably try Freddie, Zacha, Patra on the second line, and then the third line would be who's left?
Johnson, Coyle, and Geeky.
Coyle, Geeky. Sure. Although I do like Freddie, Coyle, Geeky. I do like that. And then the fourth line stays the same. But if you fucking touch the fourth line, I swear to Christ, like if you touch it, I mean, I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. Colorado, there's going to be some makeshift bullshit on the fourth line, and they're going to have Kastelik playing like first line center or something, and to reward him because he's producing. He's going to end up with still like 20 points this year, even though he has 4 right now. But I'm telling you, they're going to do something like that, and it's going to screw the whole thing up. Now you screwed the whole thing up. So, because Montgomery, here's the thing about Montgomery. He will knee-jerk reaction the thing to death. Like he has done it before. Mm-hmm. He did it up 3-1 in a series where he overthought himself. Like, he is so antsy right now. I'm telling you, he's antsy. I'm telling you, he doesn't know his future. And the things he's saying. How about the thing I texted you before the game about, like, is this a game you get up for because it's Florida? And so even though it's early in the year, and he said something like, yeah, I don't care if it's the regular season. They still ended our year. And he's trying everything he can to see. He said something about being too slow the other day. Like he's saying these things because it's in his head. He's not sure if he's going to be here. So he will do something knee jerk. He will. And I'm telling you, if he's going to break up that fourth line, and it's stupid. It's not. It's reactionary and desperate. The sixth game of the year. I'm waiting for it. Wednesday night in Colorado. I mean, batten down the hatches on that one. I'm telling you. Rob Spector says, "What is the officiating with the Florida Panthers?" Now, this is an ongoing thing. Like they flop and everything. They got a lot of, Montreal Canadian in them a little bit, but that hit by Greer on, I mean, they call it all the time. It's on the numbers along the boards. Like, call that penalty, and if they call the penalty, all the ensuing shit doesn't happen.
Yeah, 100% true.
I mean, and Brick even said it. Like, this is on the officials.
It is, and then McAvoy takes the cross check because he's seeing red after that, and he goes after Reinhart, cross checks him while he's falling to the ice. Florida gets the power play and they score. And there you go. Yeah. Now Florida has the lead. And that it is a direct result of the official not calling the penalty on Greer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a direct result. And that got because the Bruins are already looking for a fight. Like they're already looking to support themselves and they're already waiting for Florida to do something underhanded. So that was just waiting to happen.
Yeah, and then that also leads to Pastrnak being pissed about no call happening, and then him taking an interference call later in the game against Reinhart because he's seeing red, and he just hits the guy, and then Schmidt jumps him. Then Marchand has to jump Schmidt, but Florida ends up with another power play. They didn't score that time, but the same type of thing. Like you feel wronged somehow, and you can't get past it. You're like, we got to either get revenge because we didn't like it, or, we need to do something to prove ourselves, whatever the case may be. And it ends up in their heads, and Florida's just goading you and then playing hockey, and you're falling for it, and then you're shorthanded, and they're just hitting you where it hurts on the scoreboard, and you don't have an answer for it.
Here's a interesting comment. Jason says the core is too comfortable together. I'm of the mantra that if your best players are your hardest workers, it's really hard for the rest of the lineup to lay eggs and just mail it in. You know what I mean? If they're like, we're at it, we're hardworking, and there's a lot of coasting going on by some of the veteran guys, and it seems to be a little bit alarming to me. It's a lot of, I don't know, it just seems like the fourth line is noticeably harder working than some of the veteran guys out there. And I know that they've paid their dues and so forth and all that, but I just feel like there's a lot of kind of coasting, and maybe some of it is just, it's a long season and we still have to take that into account. And this game this game itself doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. What it represents means a hell of a lot.
Absolutely.
Because it can't beat them. So if it was Ottawa Senators today, the game, this post game would probably be over by now. Like it's just, whatever, but it's not. And what it represents is not a good thing. So I don't know. Do you feel like, it's just a lot of wear and tear on some of these guys' tires, and now they're in this weird transition of bringing younger guys in, and then the older guys kind of on the way out, and there's too much imbalance. It's not a real cohesive thing going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there are some definitely some issues about some of the veteran guys and the coasting. I would say it is a long season, and they feel like maybe we need to preserve ourselves because we're playing 20 whatever minutes a night. But I think that comes back to coaching. Mm-hmm. Don't have them play 20 minutes a night. Have them play 18. And if you have a fourth line going, instead of having them play 10, have them play 12. And maybe you say, look, guys, we need a little more effort out of the top 9 here. Harder in on the forecheck. Use your legs. And if you can't use your legs, we're not going to bench you during the game. But look, your ice time's going down. If you're not going to give me the effort, the ice time's going to go down. Less shifts for you until you can start, giving me the effort that I need. And will Montgomery do that? I don't think he would.
Right. No, I don't think he would.
I don't think he's that
think he would coach him hard. I don't think he would.
No. I think he asks for it, but he doesn't coach him hard. If it was Torts would do that. He would take ice time away from guys.
He did it with Couturier.
Yeah, you're not giving me the effort. Right. Yeah, you're not giving me the effort I need. Yeah. And I think maybe the Bruins need a coach more like that, that's going to hold some of these veterans more accountable when they don't play well.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Like Pastrnak played 22 minutes today. Like, he should be playing 18 to 19. Like I don't think at this point in the season, like him playing heavy minutes like this is also a recipe for disaster later on in the year. Like he gets banged up and he's not at 100% in the playoffs. Like there's really no reason to play him that much, especially if your fourth line's going well and you have a lot of pretty good players on the team. Like I just don't think he needs to play 22 minutes a game. That's a ton for him, especially it's his 11th year in the league. He's not young anymore. So I don't love that idea. And Marchand played 21. Like he's coming off a couple of hips and 3 surgeries and 36 years old. And no, don't. Like they're not playing that well. Then just short shift him for a while. Maybe skip a shift. Play the fourth line a couple times and then, get that momentum going and then throw him out there. You're bound to get a power play where he's out there anyway or whatever. Don't penalty kill him for one or, penalty or something but just monitor those minutes more. But this is something, and it happens in the league. We've talked about this. Like veterans get treatment in the NHL. Oh, yeah. They always have everywhere. It's not just here. It's not just Montgomery. But he seems to be real kid gloves on those guys. Like I think Cassidy would be a little more harder on those guys. Like he was on Pastrnak. He would say things about Pasta in the press. Mm-hmm. And he did for sure. And I feel like Montgomery did it last year. Didn't he say something last year about Pasta once? And then that was the last you heard about him
I think saying anything. In the playoffs.
Right.
Towards the end there, he said Pasta, they needed more from him. But
I'll say this: you're going to see it more because he's going to start feeling the feet to the fire. So you're going to see him doing things out of character.
I don't want to be out of character, but what I want to see is him holding those guys accountable when they're not giving the effort they should give. Like if you're not skating, if you're not living up to your end of the bargain, then you should be held accountable. Your ice time should go down. There's other guys playing better than you right now. So you shouldn't be out there 22 minutes. If, Mark Kastelik and those, John Beecher are +2 and 3 or whatever in 10 minutes of hockey, you shouldn't be out there if those guys are playing as well as they're playing. I'm not saying those guys should be playing 20 minutes a night or anything, but, a little reduction in ice time might catch somebody's attention because it can't go on like this. And like I said, I understand it's one game. It's against Florida. They frustrated you a bunch and, you struggled against them. There's certainly, some problems with how you attack them. But you need as a team, as the better players, the leaders on the team, you need to play better. And if you don't, you should be held accountable for it.
Right. Fourth line, Peshman says fourth line carrying the team right now. And as you talked about, also pathetic that Zacha and Marchand are the ones who dropped the gloves. Where the fuck, sorry, John, is Zadorov in a game like this? And you mentioned it. Like, you got the guy. Why isn't he jumping a guy? Like, you know what? And the other thing is, if he jumps a guy and gets a penalty, you're losing Zadorov. You're not losing McAvoy or someone.
Right.
Like, take the penalty. Take the penalty and send the message. Like, I'm waiting for him to he did it a little bit last game for like a hot second with McAvoy, but I'm waiting for him to make his mark. Like if he's not playing great in other aspects, at least bring that to the table. You have to.
Yeah. That's why he got paid what he got paid to bring that to the table. So if he's not bringing that to the table and he's struggling with the other parts of his game, what's the point in having him out there?
Yeah, I mean,
So
Pete can't be a better player than Zadorov.
yeah,
Like, he's making half his money. Like, Florida knows how to push Boston's buttons. Correct, Christy. The teams are pretty even when Boston decides to play hockey and not get baited into fights and poor decision making. I think the poor decision making is the thing that's more alarming. It's just that, like you said, like kind of evading hits and leaving the puck behind and not being as strong with it and not taking a hit to make a play and those types of things. Lead to bad mistakes. I mean, Potter had one say where he held on to it too long, turned it over. They come down, they score. And I'll tell you what, Patra and Lowry, I was happy with the way they responded. First of all, they didn't get buried on the bench, for making a glaring mistake. And Lowry makes that change, which who knows if that's the team, the bench, or him, but he comes right back and snipes that goal. Like that's what Lowry brings. You have a 20-year-old guy and another rookie playing in big spots. You're going to have mistakes. Like you can't just, punish them like little puppies when they make mistakes. And I thought they both responded really well. And as the season goes along, I think that those guys are going to be even more important to this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're going to be outperforming some other people. And Patra still has some problems with the physicality. Like he gets bumped, off the puck and so forth at times and gets a little manhandled, but he can be slippery and he does win his fair share of battles, even though he's slight and small.
He does. Absolutely. I think he has pretty good body position and he knows how to protect the puck and he does get in there and kind of win battles and dig pucks out. Those guys will be big part of what the Bruins need to do going forward. 100%.
Right.
Hopefully they'll improve on those mistakes and as long as they're not making the same mistake over and over again, then I think you can live with it. But if it's the same mistake over and over again, then that might be a little more of an issue. But if they're growing throughout the year, that should pay dividends to you, when the games really start to matter, in February, March, April.
Yeah, and then Christy said Geeky played well in the second line in Seattle with Alex Wenberg, who was a great passing center that created plays. Yeah, and Charlie Coyle's not that guy. I mean, he's a possession forward. He's a defensive, stalwart. I mean, he's good at certain aspects of the game for sure. But he's not a playmaking center, and that's their issue. They don't have a second line playmaker. They don't have a playmaking center other than Patra, who's really they're not playing at second line center. Well, they do now, a third line center now, but they don't play him at second line center now because they don't quite trust that. And sometimes they get a bump in the wing because they don't have another center. So they need a guy who can make plays. It would help the power play too, which is, just horrific. I mean, the zone entries are just, people are standing still. Pastrnak's trying to get over the line. He barely gets over the line. Puck gets deflected, taken away, dumped back down the other end. Like there's no rhythm. There's no entry. It's just bad.
It's bad decision making. It's too much standing still, too much stationary. And then when there's a puck battle in the power play, not enough guys are going to the battle. I watched a play in the power play they had in the third period. 3 Panthers were there and 2 Bruins. Like you have 5 guys, they have 4. Like the least you can do is match them guy for guy. And Florida won the battle and iced the puck. Like, you have to have some sense of urgency to win pucks back on the power play and win battles on the power play. Like you can't just leave it to one guy to beat 2 guys or 2 guys to beat 3 guys. Outnumber them with the puck, win the battle, and then you should have an opportunity if there's 3 Panthers in the corner trying to win a puck battle. So there's not enough urgency on the power play, in my opinion. They look kind of lackadaisical with it. They're not snapping it around. They're holding on to it too much. Marchand especially. I mean, it's been this way for a few years. He's holding on to it too much to make a play. Just snap it around. Snap it around and make the penalty killers move.
Yeah,
if you hold it, you can just stay where they want to stay, especially if no one else on your team is moving to get open.
Yeah, so they haven't figured out Krejci and Bergeron being off that thing. They haven't
No,
figured out the bumper and the Krejci playmaking. They haven't figured it out.
No, they delay too often, and then the seams close up, and then they're trying to force things. You need to just move it quicker to open the seams, and then you'll be able to make your cross ice feed to Pastrnak for the 1T and all that crap. But they're just they don't have any confidence in it right now. Their entries are bad. They're not moving the puck, and they're not winning battles. And that's a recipe for disaster on a power play that started off the season 2 for whatever it is now, 16, 17. It's not good.
No. All right. And Dan, last one here. Dan says, how do we build a bigger team when the veterans aren't held accountable and rookies who could be built for 2026 are getting shafted? Build the fucking team. We need Monty. Now, you can place blame on management, or is it the coaching or so forth? I just think the coaching needs more of the blame. I think that people get on Sweeney, people get on the players. I don't hear as many people getting on Montgomery and the coaching staff. And Joe Sacco's been here for 100 years. Like, the power play still stinks. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I'd like to see. I'd be an advocate for a coaching change. I would. It would be bold as hell, and I don't know who the hell it would be, but I don't know if there's a way to sort of get another coach in here, certainly at the end of the year, because I don't think this is going to end that well. I think this is a first round exit, because I think you're going to play Florida again. And,
probably true.
You're going to be done. So I think it's a first round exit 3 years in a row against Florida, and you're going to need a new coach.
Probably true.
That's 3 years in a row that Montgomery will lose to this team. He doesn't survive that. I don't care what his regular season record is. I don't care what kind of nice guy he is. I don't care. I don't care about your hatred for Sweeney and all these other things. He gets fired if they lose 3 years in a row to Florida. So, because they would have to, because Sweeney's going to cover his ass. He's not going to fire Sweeney.
No.
So he would be gone. You can't fire the players who you just spent all sorts of money on. What were your, finally, before we go to the end of the show here, what were your thoughts on Swayman's effort today?
I mean, he was fine. He made some big saves, but some things that were a little leaky. Even though Lindholm got overpowered at the side of the net there, and the puck was bouncing around, Swayman didn't really hold the post there. So, I guess he would probably like to have that one back. It was kind of an unlucky bounce, but if he's holding the post, that doesn't go in, I would say. Mm-hmm. And then, some rebounds I didn't think were great. You would have liked to have a save on the Lundell chance with that. He got beat low blocker to the far side. Mm-hmm. Good shot. You have to give Florida credit. The Reinhart one, you can't fault them. They turned it over, or it was a face-off win, and he walks into the slot. The guy scored 57 goals last year and sniped one under the bar.
A little bit of a screen by him that went by him. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't really fault him on a ton of it. I mean, sure, you would like to have saves in some of those situations. But, overall, I thought he was pretty good. But, I think if that's Korpisalo in there, they probably lose, 6-3. So
sure, I agree with that, and I'm worried now that when you play back, I've said defense is not as strong as it was, but we thought that it was. Like, people kept talking about, well, the defensive structure and the defensemen, like they give up some of the fewest shots in the league, and it'll be fine, and low danger chances and all this other crap. And now it seems like the defense isn't stout, so I'm not sure if they're a defensive and goaltending team, then they're in trouble because their defense is not playing how they should.
Yeah, the defense hasn't been good enough, and if that's a unit that you're relying on, you're in trouble. So they need to they certainly need to up their game. All of them. Mary Lee says, "You guys fucking rock," and we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And you are correct.
Yeah, I know. And Maynard says we're almost better with an empty than.
Hey, should the Bruins go 6-on-5? There's something for next episode.
Yeah, let's play 6-on-5 for a whole game.
Put Zadorov in front of the net, and just kind of play 6-on-5 and see what happens. I don't know. I mean, Korpisalo, not great, and right now the way they're playing wouldn't be great. And I would say that he's going to play Wednesday night. against a Colorado team that, hasn't been great defensively themselves. I mean, you can see a 9-6 game on Wednesday because they've been not very good defensively at all. And, but they have tremendous talent, offensive talent, speed. This is going to be a tough one on Wednesday after being home for a few days.
Yeah, absolutely. Florida has a bunch of guys who can score. The altitude's always a problem with teams coming in there. So, the Bruins are going to have their hands full in that one, 100%. And, if they don't get better performances from their top nine and their defense, they could be in for a long night.
Yeah, and Pejman says,
and so could we, because we're going to be.
Yeah, we're going to be. It's going to be us and the Vampires on Wednesday night.
It's going to be Benders up all night. And I believe we're doing. Are we doing a shot for every goal that the Bruins?
We're doing a shot for every goal. We're getting the bourbon out or whatever's clever, and we're doing a shot for every goal that Colorado scores on Wednesday night. So if it is 9-6, then my liver will be sent to the Smithsonian after that one.
Yeah, we're gonna be calling in sick on Thursday morning.
Yeah. Power plays poo-poo, says Pejman. And Lowry needs to be the full-time quarterback. And I'm saying I'm getting closer to this. I'm getting closer to this because at least trying it, because it stinks. And I think McAvoy is okay, but I don't think he's a difference maker there. And from what I saw, just a tweak of Shattenkirk last year helped. I'm getting closer.
I don't think McAvoy was a problem. He's not the one who does his own entries.
No, I don't think he's the problem, but I think a mix-up could be Lowry could be kind of the mix-up or kind of the change-up on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a possibility. I mean, I'm up for anything at this point because it hasn't started well. To me, it's not him though. It's having too many guys that want to defer out there and not shoot the puck. That's why I think Tyler Johnson, I'm not saying you put him power play one as soon as you sign the guy, but that's a guy that won't defer to other veterans. So, you have Zacha out there who doesn't want to shoot. You have Elias Lindholm out there who doesn't want to shoot. And you have Marchand out there who doesn't want to shoot. McAvoy was out there who doesn't want to shoot. You got one guy that wants to shoot and four guys that want to pass. So that's not a good recipe for a power play. So until you get a mentality change from some of those guys, it's going to be the same shit over and over again. Like you could take McAvoy off. He's been shooting more this year. I think he had 2 or 3 shots tonight, and replace him with Lowry, who scored a goal. So, maybe that's another guy who wants to shoot it. But until Marchand decides he wants to shoot and Lindholm and I don't think Zacha should be out there on power play one. I think it should be. I think Marchand should maybe be the net front, and maybe you have Patra on the one of the half walls, because he's a better passer. So they have to do something there to switch it up, and maybe Lowry's the answer.
Yeah, and 2 shots for a power play goal. Hello to Wen, who's in Scotland. He got to see the game today because of the 1:00 start. So. He's like he shouldn't have bothered, but he saw it in Scotland on the matinee, which is great. And Dan's in Australia, so hey, we're all over the map.
Yeah,
Scotland and Australia.
When can we take Benders to Europe? Can we have a European travel? And then we'll go to Australia, do a little Australian tour.
I'll tell you when it's going to be. As soon as people buy some merch at the Bruins Benders. InsideTheRink.com/Bruins-Benders. Buy some merch and fund that sumbitch to Europe. Get your passports. We'll take a trip around the world with the Bruins Benders podcast. Wednesday night, it's 9:30 Eastern at Colorado and Alexander, Georgia, who Christy says is not so good in net. And we'll see if he plays, and we'll see if Korpisalo gets in there. We'll be on afterwards about midnight with all you vampires and night owls. And until then, hey, thanks everyone for listening and commenting and staying with us. And we can do it in Italy too, Mary Lee says. So, hey, we're all over the world. Until then, go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.